G'day everyone, we're back for day number 15, which is these little platypudi that are here. And while I'm doing this, I figured I may as well talk a little bit about the good old platypus. So their species name is Ornithorhynchus ananatus. And they are indigenous to Australia. So I'm coming in with Prisma White because I need to ensure that some very specific markings are put on to these little fellas. So they have a very distinct white space under their eye, and they have a white underbelly or a lighter underbelly. So I'm coming in with Prisma White first, just to ensure excuse me, that this whiteness is kept. And here comes Casper clicking down the hallway. Okay. And they also sometimes have a little bit of white on the top of their bill. So what is so special about our little old fellas from Australia? So they are indigenous to Australia. So I'm coming in with 96. I haven't put the colours down because I'm not sure which ones I'm going to end up using. So we're going to come in with 96 and we're just going to lay this down. So this is a light warm grey. So the platypus are a very unique individual. They share their group with only one other. They are monotremes. So monotremes are egg-laying mammals. So they're warm-blooded egg-laying, which is where the orth comes in their species name. Birds also have that, and it indicates that they are an egg-laying species, same as the dinosaurs basically. However, these are warm-blooded, and the only other currently living animal that is also a monotreme is the echidna, which is also indigenous to Australia. So we have some, and we're all aware, but down in Australia there are some very unique little critters and creatures, and these ones are definitely part of that little grouping. So being a monotreme, what it means is that they lay eggs, and then once their offspring has hatched, the offspring suckle. So being a mammal means that the offspring suckle for feeding in their youth, in their younger times. So that is what these little fellas do. Now, a platypus is a fairly small little guy. So he is about, or she is about a foot to 2 foot. Okay, so, and the males are generally bigger than the females. Alright, I'm just getting in the rest of this warm grey down. Okay, so I'm going to come in with, I think, might come in with 67. It helps if I write with a pen, not a white Prisma. I don't think that's going to be too helpful. Okay, so 67 is a bit of a brown grey. So I'm just going to start putting that in. So these guys live mostly on the east coast, down to Tasmania of Australia, and they are very solitary animals. So they don't hang out with mates or their partner. They only get together for breeding. So they are found alone. They like to live their life quietly. Sorry, I'm just kind of half concentrating as I'm doing this. so where they live, okay, so they are semi-aquatic, so they're amphibious, so they live both in water and on land, and they have webbing, and their tail and their bill is what helps them both live and work in both of those habitats. So what they do is this bill here is streamlined, which allows them to move very quickly. They are super fast in the water, with their webbing on their feet and their hands, as well as their streamlined bill and tail. So the tail acts like a rudder, so on a boat, kind of moves about and allows them to steer. And this provides a streamlined process through the water. It is also very much part of allowing them to burrow. So where they live is in burrows attached to the edge of a water system. So generally a river or a lake or a creek. And they use that bill to burrow out or dig out their burrows. You can tell it when I'm going quiet, I'm actually thinking about where I'm placing the Okay, so my camera just cut off and I don't know what I'd been talking about, and it's taken a bit of time because I'd run out of storage on my laptop. So I'm just going to kind of continue doing something. So I don't know what I've told you about the platypus, but I'm going to, if I repeat myself, I apologise. I'm going to come in with 97 now, which is a darker warm grey, and continue to place in some of the details. Okay, so I think we were talking about burrowing. Now, the platypus can stay submerged in the water for a long time, and when they go into their burrows are designed so they just fit, and it acts like a squeegee. As they are going through the entrance to their burrow, it's kind of like sloughs off the excess water from their fur. So it is a way of reducing the amount of moisture that comes into their little burrow. So that's pretty cool. And when we look at their fur, they actually have two layers of fur. So their top layer, their guard layer, is waterproof, which makes a lot of sense because they spend a majority of their time in the water. And but their underlayer is just soft fur. Now the cool thing is that they can be in the water for hours, and the fur that is underneath their guard layer of fur remains dry. So what this means is it helps regulate their body temperature. So as a mammal, they actually have a really low body temperature of like 32 degrees Celsius, which is a lot lower than most other mammals. And that having that soft underlayer that remains dry allows them to stay warm even in very cold water. So even in water that is about 4 degrees Celsius. Alright, what else have we got about the platypus? Okay, so when they go into gestation, so their eggs gestate for a couple of weeks, and then they will lay their egg, and it takes about 10 days or so for it to hatch. And as they are incubating those eggs, the female platypus basically wraps themselves around it, so beak to tail, to provide warmth to that egg. And once the little baby platypus hatches, it will suckle for 3 to 4 months. Okay, I'm going to come in with some brown. I want to add some brown into it, so I'm going to come in with, I think, 114. I've got all of these different colours out, but I don't think I'll use them all. I don't think I'll need to. So 114, which is a dark brown. So I'm just going to start putting some of that in, because they are a browny kind of grey colour, which helps them stay camouflaged in the murky waters of the rivers and the creeks. Now, these are a freshwater mammal, unlike the dolphins and stuff that are saltwater, and they can go into saltwater and brackish water. However, they can't feed in that. So the platypus feed on like crustaceans and sometimes fish and insects and so forth. So they are carnivores, and they hunt or they feed by using electromechanical readings. So they actually close their eyes. So you'll see here that their eyes are closed. They close their eyes when they're in the water. They can't actually see in the water, and their ears are right here at behind their beak, and they close it all off, which allows them obviously to not be affected by being underwater. But they can't see, so they hunt using these mechanical signals, and they can only do that in fresh water, because in salt water changes the density, and it actually impacts the readings from their prey, because what they're looking for or what they're sensing is the minute electrochemical sorry, I'm concentrating on these feet. The slight electrochemical pulses that are given off from muscle twitching. So your muscles move, and as they do that, the muscles are moved using an electrical process. So that is what they actually read. All right, I'm going to go in with black. So that's 28. So that is what they are reading, and they can't do that in salt water, because salt water is a lot the density of the salt water changes, so it stuffs up their sensing. So I'm just using the black now to put in a little bit of the shading. Make these little fellas stand out. Now, again, which kind of goes to the idea that, most people think that everything in Australia is poisonous. The male platypus actually have venom. So at the back of their rear legs, they have a spur. And within that spur are some chemicals that are used for to help their immunity, but is also poisonous. So they will use that venom to protect themselves, because the males are quite territorial and they will fight, especially during breeding season. And the poison or the venom is enough to kill a small animal, and in a human it will just cause excruciating pain. It won't kill a full-grown human, but it will cause pain to those people, if you are stung by the barb. So there you go. Even these cute little fellas are dangerous. Okay, I'm just going to come back in with the white Prisma, and I'm just going to make sure that that white underneath the eye is prominent. Okay. Now I'm going to just do a bit of a background of these guys. Not a great big background. We'll come in with that 117, and I'm just going to use that to put down here. what else can I tell you about the platypus? So the platypus, you rarely see them. They are very good at hiding. However, I've been lucky enough. My dad has a land that backs onto a creek, and he has a resident platypus, and occasionally you will see him there, and it is awesome to watch them move. They are so fast. But he hasn't been there the last couple of years, so whether he's moved on to another location, another billabong or another creek, or whether he reached the end of his life. So they generally live for around 20 years. They're very hard to keep in captivity. Going to come in. I'll keep with the colours that we've used, so we make it a nice, simple kind of addition. Except for I'm going to bring in a few more now. So they live for about 20 years. Keeping them in captivity is a little bit harder. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to put a little bit of a billabong down here. I'm going to use 43. No, I'm not. I'm going to use, help me pick the right colours. I'm going to use 30 and 41. So these are just additions. Okay, so let's see if I can give the impression of a little bit of water. I'm just going to come back in and extend that ground down. And I'm going to bring a little bit of the brown into the water because generally our rivers and creeks aren't that clear, and they don't want clear water anyway. And I'm going to come in with a little bit of grey that we have used. What grey have we used? There we go, 97. Okay. Yeah, our waters, the river water's generally not, clear. So there we go. And now I'm going to, just for, something to do, I'm going to put a little bit of shrubbery in the background, a little bit of bush. I'm going to use 043 and 048 for those ones. So let's come in and I'm just going to do my typical thing when I am doing some kind of background foliage is I'm just going to scribble. So just a little bit of scribble. And I might do a little bit of it down here. Come in with the other colour. So these are dirty greens. Scribbling always works best once you've got a little bit of a flat edge on your pencil. You don't really want a sharp tip. So these were well sharpened, so I've just got to try and put a bit of a flat tip on there. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of brown. And we will put some brown in through these as well. And a little bit of brown grey. Okay, I think, oh wait up, I'm just going to, just for me, just going to make this a little bit darker up here. This is just me being particular now. That's where the shrubbery would be casting a shadow. And then I'm going to come in with a little bit of black and just work on a little bit of shadowing. Okay, that will do. We're going to leave it there. I hope you have enjoyed today's little colouring, and they're just so cute. They are adorable little fellas. And I will see you tomorrow. As always, remember, be kind, be strong, be a warrior, and I'll see you later. Bye.